Dosing, I know, is a big question, right? Do you have the specific questions in front of you?
I have the answers to some of them that I had seen, yes. And I know that one of them was definitely
Good.
with dosing, because it's of concern, definitely with smaller animals. And so I think a really good way to kind of start talking about dosing is the fact that our CBD oils are full spectrum. And so when you see a CBD oil that says full spectrum, that means that it has all of the all of the cannabinoids in it. So there's more than just CBD, which is cannabidiol. There's actually like CBD G, CBDA, and all of these are cannabinoids that will respond with your receptors. You can get CBD oils that are isolates, which is just CBD. But our full spectrum oil actually gives you more of like a systemic response because there's so many different ones. So that's one thing to look for when you're going into what kind of oil you should give them in the first place. And then when you're trying to figure out dosing, I have our oil brand comes with an actual dosing chart. And I think the biggest thing though that I need to share is that there is no overdosing effects other than, I mean, being too tired or being, you know, like
Yeah.
some pets may experience a little bit of nausea if you go really, really a lot, but you would have to literally have them drink like the entire bottle. And so just a few facts to kind of back that up is because in one of our dosing of our pet CBD, which is only 500 milligrams, which is for the whole bottle, it's 500 milligrams in the whole thing. One dose out of this 30 ml bottle is only 16 milligrams. And clinical trials have shown that up to 1,200 milligrams a day for an entire month. So 1,200, that's like drinking 2.5 bottles of these, has no side effects. And so there's really, I mean, no overdosing.
So there's really no risk of overdosing your dog and making them
Not
sick from
really.
it.
The only concern would be that it's expensive and you don't want to give them more than they need to get the same effects.
Right.
And so a good, also another really interesting fact is that people taking it for medicinal issues or therapeutic issues over the long term, if they have terminal cancer or if they have something with chronic inflammation that they're trying to fix, they'll actually take up to 7,000 milligrams a day. And so that's, I mean, that's like,
Wow.
that's like the most that we've seen actually huge improvements on chronic illness with is at that high of levels. But for you know, levels to fix, you know, just like anxiety or a little bit of fear, some chronic pain or inflammation, you definitely don't need to go that high. And one dose of our 16 milligrams is going to show some effect. But so there's not really any overdosing issues. Side effects would be drowsiness. If you give them too much, they might be really, really drowsy. Other than that, I mean, that's really side effect wise it. Some, depending on what the carrier oil is, so CBD is just one of the molecules in there, but depending on what they make the oil with, like ours is coconut oil for the carrier oil, there can be hemp oil or sunflower oil as well. Your animal may not react well with that oil in its digestive system, and in that sense you might get some type of diarrhea or you know, straight vomiting from that. But from the actual CBD itself, it wouldn't be an issue. And a way to kind of work into that is to give them a few drops at a time to see how they react before you give them a whole dose.
Carrier oil.
And, see what happens.
Right? So like the bottle of
I'm sorry, what?
CBD oil, the whole thing's not made out of hemp. It's also a carrier oil.
Right. So when you're processing the oil, when you're getting the flower and you're extracting the CBD from the flower, you will get a pure CBD, and it's an isolate. So, well, it's very, I don't know. And then they work down to dilute it into levels that you can sell it in. And this is called tincture ready. So this has been processed from the CBD isolate into a distillate, and then now tincture ready. So it's been diluted with an oil that will allow you to absorb it easier. So, but that oil is something to really pay attention to when you're looking for them. You want to stay away from like propylene glycol, like any of like those kinds of oils. If you see MCT, which is a coconut oil, a hemp oil, or a sunflower oil, you're pretty much safe.
Also,
Those oils are.
they actually use hemp oil,
Mhm.
and then it's like a pure hemp product, then, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they use actually hemp seed oil as the carrier oil for that CBD, I mean, that would be a pure hemp product. But I mean, regardless, that's going to be the CBD, and it needs that oil as the carrier because CBD itself is a fat soluble molecule, and so when it's with that oil, it's absorbed into your body. Um,
Yeah, and
it's just
like in your
yeah.
experience when it comes to like that quality and like the oils that are used and stuff like that, like what do you see that tends to happen like when people are going out there and they are researching different CBD to choose to use for their dog?
Yeah.
What do you find typically happens, or what do you find typically that they will come across and what they should
Yeah,
know
I
about and
mean,
be wary of?
yeah, I would definitely recommend only buying from dispensaries like CBD Menominee or an actual store that focuses on CBD. They're going to usually have higher quality products and they're going to know the sales reps are actually going to know what they're looking at. A lot of the time, if you buy them out of the gas station, those people aren't going to know. And a lot of those CBD oils are shipped in from across seas and they're very cheap. You think $20 for a little bottle is a lot, but in reality, cost is very, very proportionate to quality, and $20 is not a very good product. And if you look at the back, you can see that there's going to have a lot of ingredients in there. You want the most few ingredients possible. You literally want just a carrier oil and your CBD. With our product, literally the only ingredient is MCT oil, and that's it. Some pet oils do have flavoring, like bacon or I saw salmon flavoring once, and that's just an added flavor. Our
Okay.
CBD oils do not have any flavor. They are all natural, full spectrum, no flavor. The only flavor that's like there is the natural terpenes from the actual hemp, and so it's kind of a planty type of taste. But my dog has not had anything. I mean, he just takes it. I don't really care what it tastes like for him, honestly. But you can get
Excuse me,
flavored ones.
I know
So
Eric, if you watch this, Eric, I know that he was saying that we found something that was like bacon flavored for pets, and he was like, I want the
right,
bacon flavored one. Why does my dog get the bacon flavored one? And so
yeah.
like what is the can you kind of go through, because you guys sell a pet specific
Yep.
CBD and you
Hmm.
sell a human one, but there's really the grade of it and the quality of it really isn't
Right.
that different, right?
Right. So our anytime formula and our pet formula are essentially the same thing. Our anytime or our nighttime, we have a nighttime one as well. And the nighttime one is infused with lavender and mint. Notice how those are plant-based type of essential oils or other plant-based terpenes. We only do plant-based flavorings. We won't add anything synthetic to make it taste like something crazy. And so those are going to be kind of a natural additive. But the pet CBD oil, like I said, has nothing in it. The only difference between our anytime and our pet is that it's a 500 milligram bottle, and that makes dosing smaller animals a lot easier. So when you
Okay.
have the 1,000 milligram one, you can still use this. Definitely with larger dogs, or even middle sized dogs. There's no overdosing problems. But if you have like a small cat and they don't need that, it's a lot easier to measure out a man, I have the dosage sheet right here. It's a very small amount. It's 0.3 milliliters a day for a cat under 15 pounds. And so that would be really hard to do with just a higher milligram bottle.
Yeah, because my Jack Russell weighs 10 pounds.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, they wouldn't need that much at all.
So you're saying if you have a small dog, then it's a good idea to get a lower milligram, like a
Yeah.
500 milligram instead of like a 1,000. But like if you have like a big Great Dane, then a 1,000
Yeah.
milligram bottle would be
Right.
smart.
And it all depends on, how much they need to get the effects that you're looking for or to help them calm down. So for personal testimony, I have a purebred black German Shepherd, and he's like really big, not huge, but he's big. And I give him a full dropper of this because he's got mad anxiety that drives me crazy.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I hit him with the same dose I would take.
yeah.
And he seems, affected by that, but not in any negative way. So
Yeah, and like personally, like I know that like basically when I started out with this, like you guys that are in here, you guys know the precursor to all of this and why we have Taylor here. Because I initially like when did like I can't remember when did CBD oil start to become like super popular? I think it was about a year ago where it
Yeah.
started to become really popular like in this area, but it wasn't quite legal yet all of the way, right? And I don't know
Yeah.
all the stuff on that. But
Right.
then so we like Angel's Pet World was selling like this oil, like pet oil or whatever, and I think it was one of those that had a lot of different like things in it, but still providing that to them, and it had the CBD in it still. To like some long-term clients, they saw some amazing things, like one dog, Stella or Zelda,
Oh yeah.
Zelda, Zelda.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
used to have like this witching hour like late at night, and she'd never quite sleep all the way through the night. And then they started giving that just some CBD oil to her, and then she slept through the night. And it was like the one thing clinging on. And then like anxiety, we've seen it help and take the edge off of that. Like I really personally like the longer that I do this, the more like being a dog trainer, the more I want to explore holistic options before going to like medication
Definitely.
from a vet, because I feel
Yeah.
like if I can get the edge off with something more natural, then that's and I think plants are medicine. Plants are medicine.
Definitely. Yeah, and with the CBD molecule, our bodies and all mammals actually. So they haven't found any the endocannabinoid system is the system in your body that actually processes the CBD. I should have started out with that. But this system, the endocannabinoid system, is kind of found in all mammals, but they haven't found it in reptiles or amphibians yet. They're doing research there, but in all mammals, they've found that we have an endocannabinoid system that processes these CB1 and CB2 receptors, and our body will take on these cannabinoids, and it is a natural thing. And the more you expose those receptors to CBD, the more effective and efficient they become. So eventually you can actually work yourself off of taking such high doses of CBD, and eventually your body will just process your natural ones to the extent that it was processing the plant-based ones.
Yes,
And
and I
so it's
love that
really a
because
self-healing thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I love what because one of the questions that we talked about behind the scenes was about like somebody like when this question had come up is like the tolerance of it. And if you give it
Mm-hmm.
all the time, then does the dog just get used to that level and then you have to use more and more and more and more for it to be effective? And so what you're
Right.
saying is actually scientifically what happens is the more like the longer period of time that they use it and the more regularly they use it, the more efficient their body becomes at processing it. And then they
Yeah,
get to
because
use less over time.
yeah, because those enzymes in that receptor are activated, and so there's more being produced because we're starting to process this every day now. We need more enzymes to keep up with this. Your body's going to produce more, and then you're going to be able to just start processing your natural ones that you actually make more efficiently as well.
That's
And so I was
amazing.
listening. Yeah, I was listening to a CBD podcast, and they were comparing it to ibuprofen, which is an NSAID. And so an NSAID works with anti-inflammatory response. Obviously, you want to reduce swelling and pain in an area. Well, CBD does the same thing at certain therapeutic levels, and with an NSAID, your body gets used to that, and you have to constantly take more, which can then have side effects with digestive issues and bleeding
And your
and stuff
liver,
like
right?
that.
Like
But
that's not good.
right, yeah, definitely not. And so with CBD, they tested two groups, and they saw that the CBD had the same anti-inflammatory response, and then they actually got to work off of it in the end too.
That
So
that reminds me so much of Sky. Like Jason Canfield, he's no longer in this group, but he had Sky. He was in here a while back, and he started using the CBD oil. And she's a little heavier golden retriever, sweet dog, and she's like probably like 8 years old or so. And they started using it, and she became like very mobile. She stopped limping.
mm,
She just so that inflammation for the joints and like I don't know
definitely.
what like what is it Rimadyl that the vet will oftentimes prescribe for
Or
like pain.
yeah, it starts with a G. It's
Okay,
oh, I
well
don't know, I forget,
we'll
but
look that up later. But anyway,
gabapentin. Gabapentin.
oh, I'm losing my earbud here. All right, you can hear me
And
though,
so,
right?
yep. But gabapentin, they
Okay,
actually
cool.
did a study comparing gabapentin and CBD, and they noticed some big results with that too. So,
Really? Oh my
yeah,
gosh,
yeah,
I had a shoulder problem and I had to take gabapentin, and
yeah.
that's no joke. That's like I didn't feel good
Strong.
on that. And
Yeah.
I was resistant to try it myself for a while too.
Hmm.
but then when I felt
Thanks, Cole.
inflammation reduction as well, very much.
Yeah.
Gabapentin, yeah.
Yeah, she filled in. Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Nicole's here. So far, let's do a shout out to people that are here. So far, I see
Awesome. Yeah.
Colleen, Nicole, Megan, Kim. They've been here. I know Nicole had a specific question. Do you remember what Nicole's question was now that she's on?
I believe it
Um,
was the dosing one.
yeah, the dosing. So if you want to
Mm-hmm.
go through like I know that the website that we have that we're going to provide to on that website, there's a
Yeah.
PDF, right? For dosaging
It's
for,
it's just the link to our processor. So our oil specifically is the link to them, and they have dosing instructions. And I've also printed them out, so I can give you a rough range right now. So with the PET CBD 500 milligram bottle that we have right here, a dog that weighs about 100 pounds would get 1.5 mils a day. And so one of these droppers is 1 mil. So you could give them 1.5 of these a day. I mean, and
okay.
if you go over it, you're not really going to see any negative effects, but if you don't work up to that level, you may not see the effects you're looking for as well either. So
Okay.
that's
And then
kind
like
of
I know
a
that
good
Nick and
idea.
Nicole like was before you guys, because how long ago was it that you guys launched your oil?
Us,
Yeah.
this, we got connected with our local processor who's going to be processing the plants that we've grown about 2 months ago, and then we
Yeah.
really started pushing the oil once we realized the benefits about a month ago.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like before that, I was going to like Big Top Vape in downtown River
Yep.
Falls. And what is the one? Nicole has this bottle as well. She's got $1,000. Whoa.
Milligrams.
1,000 milligram
I did
bottle.
check out the price.
It was price something. What's that price? It's a red and white bottle.
Yeah, I don't remember the name, but I did see it at the store because I went to go check it out.
Okay. I'm not seeing any questions here. So if anybody has questions, ask them now. But Nicole, can you tell us that? So like basically what you're saying there, though, with the 500 milligram, it was 1.5 milliliters. So if she
Yep.
had 1,000 milligram bottle, then she would want
Yep.
3 milliliters.
You would want one.
One.
You would want a half milliliter. So
Oh, see?
one dropper.
It's so
Yeah. And
confusing for the average
well,
person here.
and that's what one of the biggest things is when you're buying an oil, regardless if it's ours or anyone else's, you have to look at what the front says. If it says 1,000 milligrams, um, that's not per dropper. You have to look at the back and see how much per one dose, because that's for the whole bottle is 1,000 milligrams. So in one dropper, if you divide that by 30 mils, you're getting 33 milligrams of CBD. Now, if they have 1,000 milligram bottle, but it's in a big bottle, that means your one dose is going to have way less CBD in it. And that's how people sell you, is because they dilute it down with so much oil, or they fill it up with so much oil that in one dose you're probably getting like 5 milligrams. So for example, some of them in the like gas stations are 1% CBD. Ours are 3% CBD. And so that's kind of one thing to double check,
So you
is
want to
to
check
look
the
at the total.
percentage.
Yeah, total, and then divide it by the volume of the bottle. So 1,000 divided by 30 mils would be 33 milligrams per drop,
Yeah.
per
Well,
dropper. So
well, what I like
something to
about
keep
this
in
is like
mind.
we legit know where this comes from. Like
Yeah,
we legit,
definitely.
and even like the stuff that we found that it might still be high quality or it might be still like a decent product. But what my main concern has been, even if we find a good product somewhere, that they could change suppliers. And since you guys are the direct
Hmm.
source,
Right.
that's really
And
nice because we know that that'll never happen.
yeah, and we do have an online website that you can order through straight from us, and I actually get to, so we get the bottles, like the ball jars of the oil, and I get to see the clarity, the quality of them, and then I actually fill them into the bottle that you will get. So I'm there from growing the plants to getting it back from the processor and filling the bottle and sending it out. So I think
I
that's a
love
really
that. I love
awesome.
knowing the
Yeah.
source. I love supporting local farmers, like knowing where. I like to try to do that with food too. And so that's just really,
Hmm.
really nice. So Nicole says that they have 1,000 milligram bottle.
They do. Okay, I
Um,
was going to ask her what size that was.
and
Okay.
she said we're giving a half dropper a day divided into 2 doses.
Okay, I think it. How big is her dog? What's the
Parker.
weight of it?
I think they're using primarily Parker. I don't know if they're giving it with Lyra. Priceland is the name of the bottle. You guys
How,
dropped them off today. We probably have the bottle here somewhere, but if I leave again, I'll probably get disconnected.
yeah. Well, what's his weight?
What's that?
What's the dog's weight?
Oh, Parker, what does he weigh? He's got to be like 60 pounds or so. How much does he weigh,
Okay.
Nicole? I'm just guesstimating there.
Okay. Well, regardless, if it's anywhere from 40 to 100 pounds, I think you could safely get. I mean, if you're not seeing results right now, with that half a dropper split into two, I could say give him a full dropper. I would say would be completely reasonable. Like I said, I give my German Shepherd a full dropper of the 1,000 milligram, and he reacts like I would like him to, or I see
Yeah.
the effects that I would like. So if you're not, you can always slowly go up until you do.
Yeah. And then
You're not going to
Nicole,
hurt.
I don't know if you were here when we were mentioning this with Taylor because this blows my mind. But I don't know if you had joined us yet, but that there's really no concern with them getting used to it or tolerant to it. And you might end up using more oil initially, like that, like she's saying, you could go up in dose, but the more often, the longer period of time that your dog has it in their system, the more efficient their body and our bodies become at processing it. So over
Yeah.
time, you don't have to use as much oil to get the same amount of effectiveness. And I would have thought it would have been the other way around. So that's really cool. Like I'm still stuck there because I
Yeah.
think that's
It's
so cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Another and then another really good thing to keep in mind is that if you're not seeing the effects of the actual CBD oil, take a look at how you're administering it. And so I'm not sure how you've been administering it, but it is a fat soluble molecule, and so if you're going to feed it with food, it's best to be fed on a full stomach or with a fatty food with it. So maybe with some canned food with gravy or something. Because if that CBD oil goes right into their digestive system without food, the acid of the stomach's going to break it down, and they're not really going to absorb very much. Um,
Oh,
another thing, another thing to remember is that when it's orally ingested, it is going to have a less, it's going to have a longer duration impact, but less, less of a punch. So if you put it, what I always do for my dog is, and myself, is I put it under my tongue on any capillary rich area. So like where all your blood vessels are, if you keep it there and you hold it there for 90 seconds, or in your dog's mouth, if you pull up with their lip, you put it in there and you kind of rub it, it'll affect them a lot quicker, and the effects will be more strong and then die down a little quicker. So it might be an hour of really good effect. If you do it orally, it might be they'll finally feel the effects in about half an hour to an hour, and then it might last up to 6 hours. So
oh.
it just depends on what you're looking for and how fast you need that effect to take place. Same with people.
This
So
this seems reminiscent of when I visited Colorado. And
yeah,
the edible instructions, except for that's THC. That's not. Anyway, so it was
same
legal,
concept though.
guys.
I mean,
It was legal.
yeah,
It was legal when I was there. Okay, it's still legal there. Anyway,
same molecule. I mean, it's a
it's so
very similar
funny.
molecule.
Well, yeah, and like let's
Yeah,
touch on that too, because the THC CBD pairing, right? Like those two things together.
yeah.
I know that some people are just wary about like marijuana in general or cannabis or whatever we call it. Like marijuana is cannabis, is that right?
Yep. So cannabis sativa or Cannabis indica are the two cannabis plants that can produce marijuana and hemp. So they are the same plants. The only difference between hemp and marijuana is that hemp has been bred to reduce that THC level down to a legal limit of less than 0.3%. And so in comparison, a marijuana plant will have up to 30% THC, and ours is below 0.3%. Legally, when we send in that flower, it has to be beneath that. Otherwise, our crop has to be destroyed, and we have to document that and send it in. Um,
Oh,
so,
wow.
so yeah, so the oil that you are receiving has to have under 0.3%, and I think ours is 0.1. And so for humans, we cannot sit here and tell you it won't show up on a drug test, but I mean, there has been a lot of testimony that it does not. But we can't legally tell you it won't because it is in there in that tiny, tiny bit. But
Yeah, but
it's very
it's not,
negligible.
because do you know what kind of, like you said, under like 0.03, whatever, like what kind of level would THC need to be at in order to give you what is it called? The
It's
psychoactive
a
effects?
Yeah. So yeah, there's no psychoactive effects in any CBD product if the THC is below a legal limit. I'm not quite sure what level it would have to get to when you'd start seeing those effects, but those psychoactive properties only come from THC and THCA, which is the parent molecule to THC. So, and
Yeah.
through heat, it will change, and then it would produce those psychoactive effects. But
Yeah. And is it correct? This is something I heard through the grapevine. I don't even know this, but I have someone ask you. Is it correct that it has to have a minute trace amount of THC in order for the CBD to be able to be activated, or no?
there are not specifically. There are THC free option oils, so you can buy a completely THC free option. The only issue is that in the production of a THC free completely, um, is that after you extract all of those cannabinoids, which THC is considered a cannabinoid, after you extract those from the plant in the isolate form, and then you go to distillate, you have to do another process to specifically take out only the THC molecule, which in the process of that, you can damage some of the CBDs, and you're going to take a few of those other CBDs as well, like CBDG and CBGA. You're going to take a few of those out with it. So those
So it won't
THC
be
free
as
options,
potent? Is that what you mean? Like,
um,
or
you
as
would
good
just have to,
quality?
if it's from a really good processor, it could still be very good quality. And I think we're looking to get a THC free option just for people that are concerned about it.
Yeah.
But with that, I would just make sure you know where it's coming from, and know the processor, and know how they process it. There's multiple ways of processing. Ours is CO2 extracted, which is one of the cleanest and safest methods for your health, but also for the CBD molecules. They get destroyed very, very little, if any. Then there's a solvent extraction method, which is where the extract is pretty much dissolved in ethanol or a very concentrated alcohol, and then it's slowly heated up until that burns off, and that's what you're left with. And it's a safe method as well, but that burning action can destroy the CBD molecule, and then you won't get the same effects. So it just depends on your processor. If they're very responsible, if they're good and they're clean, you got it. But a lot of them that come from across seas, they're cheaply done, and they won't be as good of quality.
No, we have like a question I do have is that we have a lot of puppies in right
Mm-hmm.
now. And quite
Yeah.
honestly, like I have puppy fever because all of my dogs are old, like 11 and up to 16 or so. Um, so I have puppy fever, but we have a lot of clients in here that have puppies. And there's really
Mm-hmm.
no concern with using this with puppies or adult dogs or whatever, because what I really think is cool is like if I had a puppy right now, quite honestly, I would be giving it to them their whole life, I think. And because what it sounds like is the longer, the less I'd have to use over time. But anyway, but I like what you said before. I want to touch on that a little bit. When you talked about administering and putting it like how we put it underneath our tongue or whatever, but putting it in the food, adding some kind of fatty or whatever, or giving it food, and then it's going to have
Yeah.
a longer impact, more gradual. It's just good to feed it. But then, like, if there was something where the dog's taking the dosage, like let's say in their food every day on a normal
Mm-hmm.
basis, but they have a little bit of a storm anxiety, you know, there's going to be storms that day, or they have a little bit of travel anxiety, then you think that, like, is it okay to give them like their regular food dosage and then a little extra, right, like in that
Yeah.
lips area, like you mentioned?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Okay. Because that's
Mm-hmm.
how you would get a little bit of a boost of it for a little bit, and then it would go back
Yeah.
down to
Yep.
kind of get over something that's is coming up that's going to stress the dog out.
Yeah, I would say that that's completely appropriate for sure. Yeah.
Cool. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Because when we were giving it in camp, we would put it in their food. Mostly when we have
Mm-hmm.
dogs here that we give it to, we'll just put it in their food. Or I've also taken the dropper and just put it in their mouth as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, like I've tried both ways, but I like that knowing that I could just have a regular routine and then just do the
Yeah.
mouth. Because I hadn't realized that if you put it in the mouth, it's gonna go faster and then
Right.
ease
Yeah.
off versus more gradual.
Mm-hmm.
So that's so cool to know. I love
Yeah, and
it.
yeah, another really cool part about CBD is that it doesn't only work in your body, but it can work on your skin as well. And so CBD has been shown, and also just from the paperwork from our processor, it says that it also helps with allergies and digestive problems. So with skin allergies, you can apply CBD oil topically. The only thing is that it won't cross that blood-brain barrier because it's a fat molecule. So you won't get this whole systemic effect like you would if you ate it, but it'll help that local area
Okay.
a lot. And
Like
so
with
it'll moisturize
inflammation
that. It can
mostly?
reduce. Yes, yes, inflammation and pain. You can put it on topically, and so that wouldn't really cause them to be less less anxious, or sleep more. It would just help that area, but it's
Yeah.
another option if that's what you're looking for. If yeah, so
Oh my gosh,
that's
yeah, because I know right now one of my friends has a Jack Russell that gets like itchy spots. So that might
yeah,
be good to just apply topically there.
yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool.
I would definitely give it a try for sure.
And so like if I know we're running up on our hour here, even though our first 20 minutes were
Yeah.
bumpy as all get out. But what we're going to be doing, guys, too, is there will be another opportunity to pick Taylor's brain sometime within the next couple of weeks or so, right, Taylor? We just haven't nailed down
Yeah,
an exact time yet.
definitely.
But we're going to do a live Q&A with we're both going to have earbuds. We're both going to have it ready to go.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my gosh, we tried. We tried. So honestly, though, we have a pretty good track record in here. We really do, guys, right? Like, there's not been a video yet that's been so choppy at the beginning, so we're doing pretty good for track record. But basically, too, let's talk about like costs of CBD oil and stuff like that as well. I know that you guys, you can order directly from you guys, and I have some trainers that I have in my network all over the world that are interested in ordering from you guys as
awesome.
well.
Yeah,
So that's pretty cool. So, and I want to write this down for those trainers because they're not in this group. They're in my
okay,
group
yeah,
of my community of my support. So like you guys in
yeah,
here have us as support, those that are watching, as dog trainers or whatever, dog owners. You have me and Colleen and Riley for support. We bring in people like Taylor. And then I have my own coach, Maggie, who was on earlier telling us to use the earbuds. So she's actually my coach, and she has the guild.
cool.
And then that's the group of trainers that are all over the world that are developing this style of interactivity and programs. So anyway, they would like that information too. So if people want to order directly from you guys, how do they go about that?
You go to futurefarmhemp.com, and then you just click on the oils link, and then there will be the option for anytime, our nighttime formula, which has the lavender and the mint in it, and those are for humans. You can give them to your dog if you'd like, but then we also have the pet option, which is the lesser milligrams per bottle with no
Okay,
fish.
I'm gonna put that, I'm gonna drop
Yeah,
that in the comments here too. So I think that that's the
definitely.
link
And
that you gave me earlier, right?
the link I gave you earlier is to our actual processor who's processing this oil, and they
Oh,
have recommendations on dosage instructions. They have a little bit more information about what CBD is in general. They have the whole works on there. So that's another good place to go and look, though.
okay, so just future, I'm gonna type it out then. What is it again, Taylor?
Futurefarmhemp.com.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put that there. Oh my gosh, these flies are going crazy as the sun goes down. And then I didn't even make it a clickable link. So, okay, sorry, I'm getting that on there. It went up. Okay, cool. Keep going. Thank you for your patience there.
Yeah, so just futurefarmhemp.com, go to the oils, and it'll be right there. And then once you know which one you want, we'll get a notification, and then we'll just send out an invoice, and then you can pay with card once you get that invoice. Or, I mean, you can always purchase it through Crystal and Riley if you are in town and go by their store.
Yeah,
So,
so we're gonna carry some just out of the convenience aspect of things. So we're always gonna have like how I don't know how many bottles do we have right now, like 4 or 5
um,
bottles.
yeah, yeah,
It's
4 or 5.
not that many. So we just have some that we're going to keep in extra stock there at the facility. So if you guys order from them sometimes, us sometimes, you want to pick it up because you're running low, or you ordered from them and then dropped it, it shattered all over and you need to get one real quick
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever, we're going to have a very small supply at the store. So never hesitate to ask, but you can just always order direct from these guys from Future Farm. So thank you, Taylor, so much. Did you get
thank
all the
you. Yeah.
questions in that you wanted to? I know somebody was talking about, I think that really covers it too, like versus like pain versus chronic, the dosing, like the technique is a really
Yeah,
good one. And then quality there too, we covered that one. Nicole had the questions about dosaging, and she has a chart to refer to now that's going to give
yeah.
her some really great information. So anything else you can think of you want to share before we go?
Not really right up to this point, but I'm always willing to answer more questions. The science side of it or the business side of it too. We are helping farmers for next year as well. Get
All
ready to
right, cool.
start planting. So,
All right, awesome. Are you okay if I like keep you in this group for like the next month or so? So if someone has a
Definitely.
question, they can just
Yeah,
shoot it out there.
for sure. Yeah. And if you just
Awesome. I
type
love
my
that.
name, I'll make sure to see it.
Yeah, yeah. So
So,
if you guys have any questions on CBD as you're going through it, or you ordered for them, or you've picked it up from us, or whatever it is, or you have something that you're using, or you're using a different source, or whatever it is, it's fine. Like Taylor has a lot of knowledge to share. Obviously, she's so stinking smart. I know why you
thank you.
apprenticed there and then they hired you because I used to be your boss, and I wouldn't have let you go if you would have wanted to do pets instead of plants. But anyway, so you
Pets
guys,
and
thank you
plants
guys for
now,
what?
both.
What's that?
I said pets and plants. I like it
Yeah,
both
pets and
now.
plants. You got both worlds. That's awesome. Okay, cool.
Exactly.
So yeah, guys,
Awesome.
thanks for watching. Sorry about the rough start. Usually I don't know how this is gonna work because usually I host it. So when Taylor, just make sure that you share it afterwards
Okay.
and don't delete it.
Fine.
That'll be good for
Okay.
us not to have this deleted. And then I was talking about we're gonna do just make sure that you guys that are in here, you should be following our business page, which is the public facade Facebook for us. And so we're going to be doing one in there as well in a couple of weeks that I'm going to encourage other pet professionals to get involved with as well. And then people that aren't necessarily in this private group, but they're not going to have access to Taylor and her questions whenever they want to
Yeah.
for a little bit here. You guys get that that privilege to be able to pick her brain if you have questions or you're going through it. If you ever think about it, just make sure you tag her. Her name is Taylor North, so just tag her, Taylor, and she will see the questions that you guys ask. And yeah, we'll get you on the other live too if you guys are interested. So thanks for coming on with us, Taylor. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. And
Definitely. Always open.
yeah, and I'm gonna come out there too. I'm coming out. We gotta figure that out with Steve.
Yes.
Make sure he's okay with that
Excited.
of me coming out just to take some pictures and some video. So that we can get some stuff for our coursework in there too. Um,
Definitely.
through you guys. Thank you so much, Taylor.
Well,
Have a
thank
good night,
you.
everybody. Bye. Take care.
Bye.